Lunch counter sit-ins played a very important role in the civil rights movement. For generations, segregation had been accepted. Yes, there were speeches and protests against it, but no one had truly stood up and defied it. The sit-in movement symbolized a change of tactics used to stand up against segregation. Lunch counter sit-ins were a way to revolt from segregation and nonviolence. They displayed Martin Luther King's ideas of peaceful protesting while provoking the type of reaction that definitely would be noticed. To African Americans in the United States, it gave them hope that segregation could once and for all be defeated. The Greensboro sit-ins were among the first ever sit-ins to take place during the civil rights movement. When the first sit-in took place, news of it spread like wildfire, and all people, blacks and whites, came together to fight for one thing: equal rights.
The first Greensboro sit-in occurred on February 1st, 1960 in Greensboro, North Carolina at a Woolworth store. 4 black teenagers, whose names were Franklin McCain, Joseph McNeil, Ezell Blair Jr., and David Richmond, carefully thought out a plan in which they would protest at a white-only lunch counter. These boys were members of SNCC, or the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and were also students at North Carolina Agriculture and Technical. The boys contacted a news reporter to bring attention to their defiance. Then they went into the Woolworth store, bought a few items, and sat down at a white-only lunch counter and asked politely for service. They were denied service and requested to leave the premises immediately. The boys told the campus leaders at North Carolina Agriculture and Technical about how they had been treated. The next morning, not just 4, but 29 students, female and male, from the school proceeded to sit at the segregated lunch counter. Each day the protest grew, and by Thursday, white students from the nearby women's college even came to join the protest. As more and more people joined the sit-ins, mobs of angry white Southerners bombarded the protesters. Food was thrown at them, and they were called mean things, and even threatened. Despite these vicious things that were being done to them, the protesters didn't fight back. The horrible things white Southerners did in response to the food counter sit-ins didn't stop at name-calling and food throwing. Many whites resorted to physically beating the people taking part in sit-ins. Although violence and crime was a counter effect to the sit-ins, the police often didn't take action in stopping them. The Greensboro protesters continued to fight segregation each day of that week. On Saturday, 1,400 students came to Woolworth store to protest. The students not able to fit inside the store formed picket lines outside the lunch counter. Students were arrested, then let out, would sit down at the lunch counter again, then put in jail a second time. The cycle just wouldn't stop. After the events at Greensboro, small department stores became huge targets for sit-ins like the ones which occurred at Woolworth. Sit-ins were a huge step in the right direction for all African Americans wanting to put an end to segregation.
Thank you for watching our documentary on the Greensboro lunch counter sit-ins. The end.